I'm not always elected to train, you can basically train it, then you will. It takes a bit of time, but you can convince it that you'll say, okay, Google.
I think that
it's not a feature.
there's massive improvements in voice recognition technology all the time. And Glass, you know, is pretty decent in most situations. I mean, try reading it at destination when you're in Norfolk for the sat nav, and you're wasting your time. But I think it needs to see a lot, you know, further improvement still to really be good enough for that sort of voice command stuff. So.
What's the sort of battery life impact on your phone when you're using all this stuff?
Well, I wouldn't rock anything less than a G2 or a Z2 now. It depends a lot what you do. You know, if you're just getting notifications and things, then it's not too bad. But if you're doing sat nav, obviously that uses GPS on the phones. But Bluetooth power consumption is getting better all the time. So devices, you know, don't get hammered with a permanent Bluetooth connection anywhere near as much as they used to. And that trend will continue. And stuff will move to Bluetooth 4, Bluetooth Smart, wherever possible. I think we're seeing with Pebble that some stuff goes over the new protocol, some over the old. And as it improves, you know, more and more stuff will go over the low power connection. But I was playing with a smart band the other day, and I was having trouble getting it to connect. And in the app it said, oh, try turning off Wi-Fi because it interferes with Bluetooth Smart. Well, that's pretty useful, isn't it? So I Reboot fixed it, obviously, so that's fine.
Yeah, I've not noticed. I mean, I use two different wearables, and I've not really noticed. Yeah, exactly. I've not really noticed a drain in my battery on my phone's consumption, especially using the low energy. I notice it on the devices because now they're using push notifications that they drain a little bit faster. But like you say, with the smart, I don't see it being much of a problem. It's getting better and better all the time.
Yeah,
it's going to need to, because I've got 2 on at the minute and you've got 3, and pretty soon we're going to be head to foot with that.
Yeah, well, I think it helps a lot actually, and it's kind of artificially disguised by the fact that phones are getting bigger and phone batteries are getting bigger. And probably in 2 years' time we'll all have 9-inch phones with 6,000 milliamp hour batteries. Yeah. So we'll say, oh, Bluetooth's much better now.
Oh, and we saw last couple of months in America, a woman had Google Glass on and she went out on a night out and basically kicked off a riot because somebody tried to pull them off her head and the police came. Do you see that as being something that needs addressing in this country? Because a little bit of knowledge is dangerous and someone will see you and think, oh God, he's filming it all, because they don't know anything about the product itself. But
yeah, I think, I mean, there's a situation in San Francisco which makes it a lot more susceptible to that kind of reaction at the moment with Google, obviously. And the American attitudes are a lot different to those in the UK. What I've seen personally over here is kind of a pretty even mix between, are you filming me, is the first question.
Have you been in a nightclub with it on, basically?
Yeah, for that, sorry. But pubs and stuff, absolutely fine. It's a kind of mix between, yeah, are you recording, and is that Google Glass? Yeah. Can I try it on? So it's quite surprising, you know, how many people know what Google Glass is.
I suppose it depends on what establishment you're in.
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
Maybe
Maybe the establishment I frequent is okay, but yours might be a problem. But the frames actually, because Google Glass when it originally came out didn't have the frames, and the frames have made a big difference to people's perception. You know, I get a lot fewer kind of double takes than I had when I was wearing it without frames. So.
Yeah, the frames are definitely, even if they're just plain glass, would look better. I think that looks much better than it did when just the titanium band on its own. Yeah. It's definitely a lot less conspicuous, you know.
Yeah, I mean, people can't kind of say, take your glasses off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I use clear lenses, but they don't know.
No. Is there really any more questions?
One question: how do you see Tizen and Android Wear interacting? And do you think it's likely we'll see APIs between the two platforms?
I think you know, Samsung have made a big bet on Tizen anyway, and they're trying to justify it any way they can. And they put a lot of money into Tizen on Gear, but you know, they kind of started on that road perhaps before they were really aware of Android Wear. Google don't tend to plan these things that far out. Yeah, Google's attitude is quite frequently like, oh, let's do this because it's cool, and then it kind of appears. So Samsung are in a difficult place now. I don't think Tizen will be massively well received by developers. Android Wear will be amazing for developers because it will hook so seamlessly into Android itself. So I don't really see a future for Tizen. Maybe it'll be on devices. I'm not sure if the Gear Fit is Tizen. It's its own OS, isn't it? But maybe we'll see it going to devices where they're more dumb functionality. You know, it's a OS for driving things like the Gear Fit type devices.
Great, thanks.
What do you think of the AR gaming potential of Google Glass? I think
Well,
gaming could be what makes it cool and makes it.
Well, Duck Hunt is pretty cool. Yeah, there's a couple of Google games on here already. I think, actually I meant to bring my Oculus Rift, I forgot. Sorry. Next year. I think it's very much a display on glass that's kind of out of your sideline. So it's kind of incidental information rather than an immersive experience.
Also the option to move a screen in front of you.
Yeah, I don't think that's really what glass is all about. I think we'll see devices that do that and overlay displays actually on the lenses themselves. But glass. Ingress type stuff, yeah.
The picture of the portal, if you guys play Ingress, I'm sure most of you do. But you get a portal on the screen, but it's always, like you say, it's always out of your line of sight, isn't it? So games like you wouldn't be able to play a first-person shooter on glass because you
Although it was kind of cool, it didn't work that well. So.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping they do bring that back because it's one of the functions that I really, it really caught my imagination on the very first demo that you saw.
Yeah, I definitely want to be able to do Hangouts on air, which was something missing from the original release, so I can do the podcast and stuff.
Yeah, that would be great.
Then all we get is a picture of your
Picture of
laptop.
James, basically.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be able to kind of wander around the house, you know, do a bit of washing up and I'll do the podcast. There you got that.
I mean, I like from what Keith was saying. It's my dad. The surgeon side of it was is very interesting because of the information that he can have brought to him. The teaching aid thing is fine. I really like the idea of him being able to have it and have the blood pressures and all that just off of his line of sight, you know, for medical and even firefighting. And
well, aside from the hard hat stuff that we're working with a construction training company, and they're doing the same sort of thing. So guys can be on a building site and they're kind of in situations where they don't really want to be using their hands with a mobile device or whatever.
Yeah.
And they can kind of get tutorials and instructions, you know, and that sort of stuff. I mean, I think there's definitely scope for, you know, secret agents in the field and then defuse the bomb, you know, red wire, blue wire.
You don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's good news, although the movies will be short.
Okay, glass, which wire? Blue.
Just run out of battery.
Anyone else?
What about privacy concerns? I mean, none of us will probably care, but the general public, not just of glass, but of all these wearables. See, the job I do is all to do with database marketing, and basically we're collecting every piece of data about everything that everybody is doing. Obviously all these Fitbit devices are throwing back all this data, particularly with heart rate, blood pressure, BMIs, all that kind of stuff. That's all being collected and it's all going to be used.
Yeah, I think, I mean, one privacy concern obviously is the camera on glass, and kind of Google have hinted in their software that you might get a version without a camera. But we've had these sort of privacy concerns with phones. You know, when camera phones first came out, nobody could take them to work. And although that's still the case in some particularly secure organisations, where people want the technology, you know, they find a way to deal with these privacy concerns. Oh, it's cool enough. I don't care.
Yeah, so that people even care.
I don't care if people was mining on my Gmail friends because I quite like Gmail.
Yeah. And so you can't get life insurance because your blood pressure and your BMI and all that kind of stuff.
We'll blame your databases, man.
Or maybe it will work the other way. Maybe it will be that you phone up and go, I need life insurance, and they go, yeah, sure, we can see everything. You look good, you look healthy, not to worry. We can do
You
it.
don't want both ways.
I always think that data is a good thing. There is some data that you may not want people to know, and that's up to you. But if the data is going to help them advertise to me better, because we live in a world of adverts. I would rather see an advert for a phone that I might want to buy than a pram that I'm never going to use.
Talking about that kind of data, I mean, one of my previous roles, I worked on PageDrive insurance. So it was very much you've got all the data there about someone driving away, the black box in their car, and if you can demonstrate good behaviour by that data, you're right for this sort of product, so you get the benefits of that data. And if you're a really shit driver, you won't do PageDrive insurance. You'll just do the other stuff. So I think you could do the same thing with this sort of fitness data. So if my resting heart rate is like 10 BPM, and I'm like super fit, I'm not, then I'll probably go to a company that'll give me health insurance and say, here's my data to demonstrate that I'm a good customer.
They'll already have it.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the day, it's not going away. I mean, our data has been being collected by everyone for decades. I mean, Tesco Club Card has been around over a decade, Sainsbury's loyalty cards, everything you've ever bought on Amazon underneath a single email address. It's all there, unless you try very, very hard for several years to not be tracked, and that is a very, very tiny minority of people. You've been tracked, your data somewhere, someone's got it. It's not going away, it's the wrong way. So,
yeah.
You can't take it.
Any more questions? Any more questions?
What wearable tech have you got the most value out of, and what areas of your life has it impacted and made you change your habits around having that information?
Definitely Fitbit, no question. I mean, I've been using it probably for 2 years now, and it's one of those things. I use the Fitbit one, which just sits in my pocket. It counts my steps and activity levels and that sort of stuff. And I go through, times where I must hit every goal, and I must hit every target. I don't. It's a disaster. And times where, solid, I'll have a 10,000 calorie KFC and be done with it. But it's what's really interesting about Fitbit is it's habit changing. So you stick this little plastic device in your pocket, and then you come to the lift and you think, maybe I won't get there today. I'll kind of run up a couple of flights of stairs instead and get some more steps towards my target. So I think, long term, that's the thing that's kind of been most useful to me so far.
There's always the argument, as soon as you start measuring something, you've got to change what you do because you know you're being measured.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, absolutely.
No, it's good.
Okay, well,
one more thing actually. I've got another Pebble still to give away. The folks at Pebble sent 2 over to me. Shall I give this one away to whoever's got the most interesting mobile device with them today? So if you have anything. Anyone better at broken iron?
A Mokadial Note 3.
Droid DNA, that's not bad. That's very good. I think the best way to do this, if you come and say hello and tell me what you got, and I'll decide that way. Alright. Cheers, guys.